Welcome to another session of Literati. And right now we are with Sherly. Sherly is student of English. She is doing a master's in English. She is an author. She is an anchor with Angel TV. She is a humanitarian, and then she wears lots of caps, and the caps have lots of feathers. So welcome, Sherly. Welcome to another session of Literati. And there's a saying in Hindi, "Suraj ko diya dikhana." That's like a game. Uh, More is less. So I would rather want you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you, first of all, for having me here, and I feel so happy that I'm being a part of this. So, as you told me, I'm a writer. I have authored two books, and I'm also working as a video jockey, and I do shows, and as well, I'm an English educator. I train people for TOEFL, and I also teach English for kids. So that is about me. There's nothing more. If I have to explain me in one word, I'm an observer. Rather than I am this kind of an introverted person who would like to see things and take them in rather than expressing myself much. So the place where I express myself is my book. I should be saying.
Oh, wow. So there's this observer, the virtue of observing things. Does this help you in writing also?
Yeah, actually, it is the main source of my writing, if I should put it that way, because what I actually wrote in my books is about how I see different people in my life. So it's not about our my encounter with those people who I spoke about in my book is not really long. It would probably be some seconds or some minutes, not more than that. So the story is kind of developed with only the observation I had with them, like what I felt about them, like how things went forward with them. So that is the whole idea. So it clearly helped me with my writing.
So I'll take a moment to tell our viewers. Shirley has written two books. Her first book was The 15 People That I Made, The 15 People I Met. And the second book is with the same title, Another 15 People She Has Covers. And these 15 people are from all strata of life. It's not a fictional work. It's written in real time, and the 15 people that have influenced her, or somehow she finds them interesting. What is that, Shirley, that made you writing, or particularly, usually people write poems or write fictions, or write self-help. It's very rare that someone would write about the people that they have met and are influenced by them. Now, how did it happen?
Well, actually, the starting was I was waiting for my bus. I was standing with my dad, and I was trying to explain to him how this one particular meeting with a person was changing my life perspective. And I was telling him like I meet a lot of interesting people like this, and it's kind of he told me that he found a spark when I was telling him about what exactly happened, and that's when he said you should probably write about this. I've been telling him that I wanted to write, but I wasn't very sure about what I wanted to write or anything. So that's when he said, okay, this looks like it means a lot to you. So if it means a lot to you, then it makes sense that you write about it. So he suggested the title to me as well. He said, okay, tell them the count. Okay, the 30 people I met, or the 17 people I met. And then I came up with, no, I picked up the 15 most important people that made a difference in my life, and I put them as a compilation. So that is how it all started. So
So that was
he felt that I'm looking at people a lot, and they change the way I look at things.
so that was your eureka moment, I would say.
Yeah,
Saying.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so glad that you came up with the book. And how is the second book different from the first book that you have written?
I wouldn't say there's a lot of difference. For me, every story is different from each other. So, from 1 to 30, like I've spoken about 30 different people I've met. Everything is different from one or the other. So, the perspective of the story varies from each one to another. But then, the major difference that I found in myself was when I was writing my first book. I was a proper amateur. I didn't know what to do. I just wrote it, and I didn't spend a lot of time proofreading it. There were a lot of mistakes that I did in my first book, but then the second book was much refined than the first one. So in my second one, I realized what were the mistakes that I did in my first one. So I took a lot of time to proofread and make sure a lot of people read it, and I also took their perspectives into it. I learned what they had to say about the book and all of that. So that was a major difference that I found in myself. The writer, as a writer, the writer for the first one was different, and the writer for the second one was different. That's how I felt it when I was doing it.
Would you say that evolution, whether you evolved from stage
Yeah,
one, stage two, or was it
yeah.
completely a different writer?
It was a proper evolution only, but I realized that there were a lot of blunders I did in my first book. So I made sure I don't do that. The first one was much of a rush. I wanted to publish it, I published it. The second one, I took my time. I didn't rush over it. I took my time. I read it like more than 10 times, and then the book came out. So that was the difference
Oh,
between the
lovely.
first and the
And
second.
that's take home note for our viewers also, for some of the viewers are themselves writers, and some are planning to come with their books, and this would surely help them out. So I read your second book. I could get the chance to read your first book. I read the second book, and out of all the stories, I found that auto driver wala story, this particular auto driver story, that somehow it touched me. So anything in particular, which is your favorite character or favorite story uh, out of the two books?
Uh, from my first book, I spoke about a transgender woman who I met for my project, and that was something that changed my life totally. Like the way I looked at transgenders, because uh, whoever I saw was people who were asking for some help, or trying to persuade people to think that they want something that we should give them, something that was forceful. And I was brought up with those kind of stereotypes. I didn't really think out of the box. But then when I decided to do my project, I got this opportunity to meet her, and that's when she was very bold. She didn't even look like she didn't expect any help from me. It's very hard for me to put it into words. So she had that spark in her eyes. She was an auto driver. She drove an auto, and I was telling her I invited her to come to my house, and she said no. And then she gave me rules to meet me. She said, I'll be there only 5 minutes. You ask your questions and then you leave. That's it. And to see that bold woman from that community, it was so good. It felt so good to connect with her. When we met in a park, and I was looking at everybody's reaction when she walked in. Everybody could figure out that she was a transgender, and they kind of looked down on her, and they also looked down on me as well, because I was trying to strike a conversation with her. She didn't mind anything at all. She came down. She said, oh, "What's the question now? Quick! I don't have time." So I had to immediately ask the questions, and then I asked her for a selfie. So that was when she kind of she corrected her earrings, and she corrected her bindi and all. She said, "Am I looking beautiful?" That was the first time she smiled out of the whole conversation that we had.
Like,
And I felt like, okay, fine, at least now I made her smile. So I felt really happy for that. I don't know what I learned from her. Maybe I learned that I should be bold. I shouldn't care about what others think about me. But that is a static memory on my brain. I'll not forget that at all.
oh my God! Now
So
I'll
this is
also
my
not forget
favorite.
at all the way you have narrated it. So is it that more often than less they are stereotyped? They are named and shamed, and the kind of society that we are in, and probably our upbringing and the notions that we have certain kind of image of them, and probably they are trying to come out of that, and that's why she was probably bold, and look like, hey, I have had enough of this, cut the crap and do your business, let me do my business. Was it that song?
Exactly. Hmm.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So before we part and the session gets over, I would want you to tell our viewers. Definitely, the book is great. The experience are awesome. As a reader, I could connect to most of the incidences and most of the people. They are the normal people which we meet in life, and not everybody takes a pause and think about that, and say, oh, okay, I learned so and so thing from that person. Before we part, what would you like to tell our viewers? I mean, why should, if I have to ask you a blunt question, why should they read your book?
Uh, why should somebody read my book? Because the first thing I would tell people is you would be able to relate with my stories, because my stories are not cooked up. That's the first. I do add a bit of imagination, probably put two different instances together to make it sound a little interesting. But then everything, whatever I spoke about, are something that really happened. So one thing is, when you're reading my book, you will kind of think of one person that kind of made the same impression in your life. So that is one thing that I would say is the reason for you to read my book. Another reason is probably, perspective changes. So if you read my stories, and I most of my stories are dead ended. I wouldn't say what I learned from this story. I would just raise a question and I would leave, because I want the reader to reflect and see what is right and what is wrong. Because I'm not the person. I wouldn't say I'm the person who knows what is right and what is wrong. I'm just here to give you my experience, and you can judge it by your own understanding and by your own perspective. So I'm not trying to instill my perspectives into you. I'm just going to give you my experience in a decorated platter or something like that. So that would probably be the reason I would give you that you should read my book.
So these are like open-ended conversations or mm, encounters with people, and you leave it to the reader to draw whatever lesson or moral or experience they want to draw with it. Is that so?
Mhm. Yes, I would. I would want my. I remember, one of my teacher telling that there are some stories in which they'll have blank pages in the middle, where the author kind of wants the reader to write, fill in that blank to make sense out of the story. So
I
that
know.
is that I would say it's an inspiration for me for these stories as well. So I wanted my readers to have that blank space as well, so that they can continue from where I left. They can give a model, or they can give their perspective to it. So that's why I always keep my stories open ended. I don't give them a proper ending that I feel like, okay, this is the end. No, I don't give it to that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It was so wonderful having you, Shirley, with us. And I definitely hope we will have, similar sessions again. You came across as very, very, very interesting author. A sort of person which someone would really, really love to host, and we'll probably meet again. Till then,
Thank
um,
you.
any parting message for our viewers?
Uh, Thank you for having me again. It really means a lot. There's only two things I want to say right now. Nobody is self-made, so trust the people who really support you. And another thing is, even if people don't support you, trust in yourself, because I, being a person who thought I'll not do anything worthy in my life, ended up writing two books. So if I can do it, you can as well do it. So that is the only thing.
That's so lovely. That's so, so lovely of you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shirley.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.